What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Hot Button. I'm your host, Isaac Lane, and today we have the start of a new video series where we're going to be examining slept on draft picks who can have day one NFL impact. I believe that this draft 2021 is filled with some sleeper draft picks, and I want us to look at these sleeper draft picks, the ones that I believe can have day one impact, and I want you to let me know how you feel about these sleeper picks in the comments. Before we move forward with our video today, do me a favor, like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the Hot Button so you don't miss an upload. So let's get into it. Today's sleeper pick is the infamous, the one, the only Pooka, aka Pooka Magic Williams Jr. Pooka Williams has been tearing it up in college football for the last few years. He is a running back coming out of the University of Kansas, and he is a junior. He is entering this year's draft as a junior from the University of Kansas, and he's coming out of Louisiana, the dirty South, baby. He's coming out of Louisiana. He's a running back from Kansas University, and he is a versatile and agile college football player who I believe is being slept on by fans and by NFL coaches and organizations, because in my opinion, there's no reason why Pooka Williams should not be a top 10 pick. But let's get into it. Let's look at his size. Pooka Williams actually had his pro day recently, and he actually measured higher and weighed heavier than what I expected. According to almost every roster that you can find throughout his playing career, he was listed as 5'7", 165 to 170 pounds. But at his NFL Pro Day recently, he measured at 5'9" and 175 pounds, which clearly plays into his favor. Now that's a little odd to me because, historically, your own school is going to make you a little bit bigger on the roster. So either they got it wrong or he had a growth spurt between the last time they measured him and his recent pro day. So that's his size. He's a smaller running back. He's a smaller college football player, but that had no bearings on his college football playing career. But now let's continue the measurables and let's look at his pro day. He had a phenomenal pro day. Pooka Williams can absolutely burn. He ran a 4.36 40. He recorded a 33-inch vertical jump and a 9'9" broad jump. And he added basically a 4-flat 20-yard shuttle. Listen, if you can't tell by now, Pooka Williams can fly. And I'm actually interested to know, did he run track in high school? Because when you look at this guy's film, he's a little guy, but he doesn't run like a little guy. He actually has a little gallop to him. He actually runs like a bigger back. That's his measurables. Let's look at his stats. Pooka Williams approaches this year's draft with some pretty good stats. He had a total of 2,363 rushing yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, and averaged 5.7 yards per carry in the Big 12. Put respect on Pooka Williams' name. And he didn't even play his full junior year. He actually opted out after a few games, and he was still able to record these stats, these numbers rushing the ball. But he wasn't just coming out of the backfield running the football. He wasn't just running the rock. He was also a pass-catching running back at Kansas University, at the KU. He recorded 66 catches, 534 yards receiving, and 4 total touchdowns as a receiver. And he also leaves Kansas University by putting his name in the record books as only being the second Jayhawk to to rush for 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. Those are the stats. What does his awards and accolades look like? Well, in his short playing career at KU, he was able to garner 2 first-team all Big 12 selections, and he was able to secure the Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year. This is no scrub, ladies and gentlemen. This is a legit NFL prospect. Well, now let's get into the good stuff. What is Pooka Williams really good at? Well, it's hard to decipher what Pooka, aka Pooka Magic, what he's not good at. It's hard to really break down what this kid is not good at. Anyone watching his film can immediately tell that he has what you would call the it factor. He is a certified bona fide football player. He knows what to do when the rock is in his hand. Now let's talk about all that he is. Let's talk about all that he is, what he does well. First of all, he is slippery as heck. It is hard for you to get your hands on him, first of all, because he's so doggone quick and fast. But it is actually hard to bring him down, which is kind of hard to believe if you're just looking at him on paper because of his size. But he's able to somewhat hide behind those big hog mollies of an offensive line and his offensive lineman and kind of creep and slip through the cracks. He's very slippery. There's actually this play, which if you follow Pooka Williams, you probably saw it. There's this play where he's playing the University of Oklahoma, and he stopped. It should have been a 10-yard loss on one side of the field, but he breaks like 5-6 tackles on the sidelines, breaks it to the other side of the field, and actually gains 10 yards. He shows he has that Peter Warrick, Percy Harvin elusiveness with the football in his hands. So he's slippery. Not only is he slippery, he has game-changing speed. He has game-changing speed. Now, when he goes to the NFL, is he going to always be the fastest football player on the field? No. But is he going to be able to outrun almost every linebacker and defensive back on the field? Yes. There are going to be very few DBs who are going to be able to catch this young fella. And he doesn't just have good speed. He has the kind of speed that can change the momentum of the football game. There are other running backs coming into this draft who are volume running backs, such as a Najee Harris. You can even throw Travis Etienne. Those are the 2 guys who headline this running back draft class. But they kind of need carries to get them going. Man, listen, Pooka Williams, all he needs is a crease. All he needs is the ball in his hands one time with enough daylight, and he can make some things happen. He can change the game with his breakaway speed. He's slippery, he has game-changing speed, but he also has a natural football instinct. When you watch Pooka Williams play, it is as if he can feel the hit before it even happens. He knows when to spin. He knows when to juke. But I love it because when you watch his film, he doesn't always spin. He's not always juking. He's not always avoiding tackles. He's actually getting it in the trenches, which is amazing for a guy that his size, which leads me to his next strength. And he's a cutback master. When you watch his film, his ability to put his foot in the ground and change directions at the drop of a dime is just amazing. I mean, on almost every big time run, there was at least one cutback to where he switched directions and he left the defense in his dust. And last but not least, he is a good receiving back. As you saw in the stats, he caught 66 passes for almost 600 yards and put up 4 receiving touchdowns. So I'm very interested to see how that part of his game translates to the NFL. Now, what are the question marks? Well, I actually have 2 question marks, but the main question mark is durability. But before we get into his durability, I would like to know how he would be able to block in the NFL. Because when you go to the NFL, you're going to be asked to do more than just run and catch the ball. You're going to be asked to block for your quarterback and block for other players with the ball in their hands on the football field. So it's interesting to know how his size will play a part into that. But the biggest question mark by far is his durability. Can his body withstand the damage of an NFL running back? Listen, running backs have very short NFL lives. We know that. The shelf life of an NFL running back is short. And when you aren't as big as an Adrian Peterson, as stocky as a Frank Gore, a durability then becomes a big question mark and could become an issue for Pooka Williams. That is the only legitimate question mark that I have for Pooka Williams. Can he withstand the damage of an NFL running back? Can he prolong his playing career, and will his speed be able to get him over that hump of durability, even though his size may hinder him? So now let's look at the NFL player comparison. Man, listen, well, I can't help, but when I watch Pooka Williams film, he reminds me so much of Warrick Dunn. And I believe that in college, of course, Warrick Dunn was the better player, had the better numbers, played for an insanely better football team. And I think you could say Warrick Dunn may have been a little bit more explosive and a little more stout at the point of attack. I think they were built similar because they're almost the same size. Warrick Dunn's like 5'8", 180, 185. Pooka Williams, 5'9", 175, 180. But Warrick Dunn seems like he was a little bit bigger in his legs and in his thighs and in his hips. But when they play ball, their ability to cut, when I see him play and I see the cuts that he makes and the cuts that Warrick Dunn makes, I just can't help but to see the comparison. And if Pooka Williams goes to the NFL and has anything that looks like the career of Warrick Dunn at a guy his size, that is an absolute win. Let me know in the comments, who does Pooka Williams remind you of? He reminds me, personally, of a Warrick Dunn. One might say Chris Johnson because of the speed factor and the elusiveness, but Chris Johnson was much bigger than Pooka Williams. When I see Pooka Williams, I see Warrick Dunn, and he has the potential to actually be Warrick Dunn 2.0. Now, the draft is right around the corner. It's a little over a month away. What is the best team fit for this guy? Who drafts this guy? I believe that there are two teams that fits his style of play and almost fits it perfectly. And those two teams are the Baltimore Ravens and the New Orleans Saints. Although Baltimore has been known for featuring bigger backs in the past, I believe Pooka Williams could add a more explosive element out of the backfield. I mean, just take a moment and think about his speed and his elusiveness, along with Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown out of the same backfield. Oh my goodness, that would create mismatches galore and give defenses nightmares. But the New Orleans Saints already has an offense in place that's actually tailor-made for Pooka. Because Alvin Kamara is, of course, the bigger back, but their style of play and skill sets are very similar. Pooka Williams could be the ideal backup in New Orleans and could really flourish in that role, creating a legit two-headed monster in New Orleans and giving the NFC South defenses fits, most definitely. But however, I believe that the only way that Pooka Williams really fits with any NFL team is if he's able to really upgrade his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. I believe that is what is going to prolong his career in the NFL. Because, as I said, he's smaller. He's not going up against Big 12 competition. He's going up against dogs. He's going up against professionals. So those big runs in the middle that we saw and in the trenches that we saw in college, he may not be able to do that in the NFL. But if he's able to, let's say, be a part of an offense where they say they commit to giving him 15 touches a game, which could translate to like 7 or 8 carries and 7 or 8 catches, I believe that he could definitely be a player that could produce 100 yards a game, and he could definitely be a guy who lives in the end zone if he gets with the right team, with the right fit, and if he's able to catch the football out of the backfield. Y'all let me know. Pooka Williams, he should be a top 10 pick, man, but he's not being touted as a top 10 pick. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Can Pooka Williams translate his play in college to the NFL? Does he remind you of Warrick Dunn? Don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe. I'll holla at you.